we are going to have a workshop at 10 a.m. on Pacific time on Saturday. So mark your calendar this Saturday, 10 a.m. Thank you, Eric. And Eric's going to show, it's going to be me and David Kuntz, mostly David Kuntz. Because David's the award-winning photographer out of the pair. So we're doing advanced stereo photo maker. And I'll be talking a little bit about grayscale, just for people who have the looking glass, which I guess has started shipping. A lot of the newer displays, you need to be able to produce a grayscale image to get it to work. And then you can get a mosaic from that. Or you can load it onto the device as grayscale plus regular. So David, do you have, David Kuntz, do you have anything you want to say about the workshop?
Other than what's on there, no, other than, you know, I think it's a mix of stuff that is of general use, like I think the horizon, straightening out things like horizons and stuff like that is stuff we can almost all use on a lot of fixtures. And the basic distortion correction is quite useful because the Fuji W3, when you first turn it on, comes in its most wide angle configuration, and that does have a little bit of distortion. And so if that bothers you, or if it's obvious in an image, this is quite useful. So this is not completely esoteric stuff. This is stuff that most people can use, and it's easy to use. And I'll show you how. Some of the other tools are maybe a little more esoteric or advanced, but there is definitely stuff for everybody in here. You know, basic things that you can use on most of the photos you take.
What time is it?
10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday. Same place as here, so it's la.3d, or sorry, la3d.club, or yeah, whatever link you use to get here will work. It's going to be at 10 a.m.
I don't know that. No, I'm not up by 10 a.m., but I'll try to make it.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of kind of coming in at 10:30, so I better not.
I mean, I'll tape mine in advance.
Good. Okay, I did have a little bit of.
You can go to the.
Oh,
you can go to the club web. You can go to the club website and click on the link to learn more about the workshop, and to click the direct link to join it on Saturday morning.
Thanks. So people know this meeting. We're going to have a competition, and then we are also going over a little bit of Ray Zone in kind of a memorial meeting for him. Most of us were close to Ray, so it is significant. It's an anniversary of his birth this month. I believe he was born in Ohio, so he always bragged about that because I'm also an Ohioan. So it's a little known fact, and we'll get a little more into that later. I did want to give a little bit of bad news. Chris Olson, our former president, passed away this month. He had cancer. He passed away just about a week ago. So next meeting, we'll probably go through some slides of his. We were all close to Chris. He was a really good guy, and did a lot of Viewmaster, did a lot of things for us. So we do want to do our appreciation for him, and we will probably invite his family as well. So anyways, we'll have a show and tell. If you have anything related to Ray Zone, we'll have a show and tell at the end of the meeting. So you can show maybe one of his comic books, or if you have a photo of Ray. And Eric Kerwin's going to start with a little presentation that I think Aaron's going to give on Ray. So Eric, can you take over?
Hey, Steve. So what I wanted to do first, let me just share my screen. as Steve said, we wanted to dedicate tonight's meeting to Ray Zone. His birthday would have been this past weekend, and Ray was a friend and mentor to so many of us. And there is a link on the club website. If you go into the 3D Legends Hall of Fame that Susan Pinsky has put together, you can scroll down to the Ray Zone image and bring up a page on 3D Legends that's dedicated to Ray, with a whole bunch of images of Ray. David, is there anything you want to say about it while we have this open?
Just that there is a heck of a lot of information there. and and I'll remind people that, those pictures that are in the left, right, left format for free viewing or cross viewing, if you click on one, it will enlarge. If you want to do one, you can show an example. Okay, and that's Ray with Susan and Jason, what was it? Cardwell, sorry. And anyway, they get bigger. So depending on the size of your screen, you can adjust that as well. Actually, right below the picture you're showing, where it says fanfare, that article was the article that when Susan was working for 3D Video and was hired to create a 3D comic book for them, Susan read this article and said, that's the guy we need to write this because they wanted to have a bit of a history of 3D in the comic book. And that article that Susan saw, she didn't know Ray, who he was, but based on that, she wrote to the magazine, and the magazine contacted Ray, and Ray contacted Susan, and the rest is history as far as she ended up hiring him to write Battle for a Three-Dimensional World. And they hired Jack Kirby to do the artwork. And but that fanfare was the original. Yeah, and there's pictures from the comic book, better than you will ever see them in the comic, in full side-by-side version.
Was the conversion done by Tony Alderson?
Yes. At that point, Ray was a writer. He did not know how to convert, and he learned. So Tony Alderson was a 3D Club member and an artist. He also worked in movies and TV later. And Tony Alderson did all the art conversion, but Ray learned the conversion process from Tony.
Got it.
Yeah. And there's Tony.
History.
Yeah, that's Tony in the center.
Yeah.
Next to Ray, looking at the proof of, I don't remember what. I think those were 3D postcards.
It looks like the Jaws 3D card set from Topps.
Yeah, very, very possible. Oh, and later on later jobs, they often, Ray often hired Tony to help because there's more work than he could handle by himself.
Yeah.
You can see the page here has quite a lot of information, and I'd encourage anyone who wants to learn more about Ray to visit the 3D Legends website and explore this page. This, of course, launched Ray on a very long career of doing 3D comic book conversions. And a little later this evening, we have a guest joining us, Charles Barnard, who has taken over, carried on Ray's tradition of 3D conversion work for comic books, and has done some really great work. And we'll talk with Charles a little bit later during the meeting. One other thing that I'd like to show you while we have this here, you may remember Ray Zone's website. Ray wrote all kinds of articles on 3D subjects. For a while, the website had disappeared. The domain went away. And you can get to a lot of the website if you go through the Wayback Machine on archive.org. But I've actually gathered up as much of the Ray Zone website as I could to try to rebuild it and bring it back to life. And I've set up a domain. There's actually a link on the LA 3D Club webpage if you come down here to Ray 3D Zone, but I've set up a domain at ray3d.zone. They've actually opened up the .zone domains. So I figured there should be a Ray Zone domain. And I've tried to restore as much of Ray's website so that people can still come in and have all of the resources that Ray had put up.
Eric, that is wonderful. I downloaded it all before it went away, so I could help you.
Oh, great. Yeah. If there are any,
I have it all.
if there are any, wonderful. Yeah, I think there may be one or two pieces that I still need to get linked back in properly.
Okay.
But everything should be in here, including one of my favorite things on here, which is Ray Zone's comic checklist.
Oh, that's great. That's extensive.
So that's a resource. And as I said, I've linked that to the club website here under LA member site links. So if you go to Ray 3D Zone, you can get to that. So we'll talk a lot more about Ray when we talk to Charles and during the show and tell a little later on. But we have a competition tonight. So I am going to turn things over to David Kuntz. And
Eric, can I just suggest on that Ray Zone site?
Yes, Susan.
That you put his birth and death dates?
Yeah, I can
after his name, so that we realize that he's no longer with us.
Sure. I'll put something on the front that says this is an archive.
Just on that link. That
okay. Yeah.
I mean, we all wish he was here today with us, but
Well, he is in spirit.
he is in spirit. He's with us every day in spirit. Anyway, I have him with me in bed.
I have to show people that. Hold on.
I already did, David.
What is it?
It's my Quake Roads box.
Wait, they bring it closer to the camera.
It's brilliant. It looks just like Ray.
It is Ray.
We can't see it from there, Susan.
It is Ray.
Here it comes. Hold on. I'll spotlight it so we can see it. There we go.
Tilt it down. Would you just tilt it? There you go. That's fabulous.
Fantastic.
This is the oatmeal box Susan uses every day to get her oatmeal.
Lovely.
I walk into the kitchen and I talk to him every day. Every day.
Unfortunately, if he'd eaten more of that instead of other things, he'd probably still be with us, but what are you going to do?
Well, that might be true or it might not be, you know? I mean, maybe it was his time. Anyway, I got him here with me in bed.
Hi, Susan.
Eric,
Okay,
would you say what the Ray Zone website is again, Eric?
Yes, you can go to ray3d.zone. Here, I'll type it into the chat too.
Simple enough.
Can you also put the HTML5 page in if we have one?
Yeah, I'll post both of those links.
Okay, our competition director is next. David Kuntz, are you ready or?
I'm ready, somewhat willing, and mostly able.
Okay, go to it.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our fifth and final competition of the club year. So I'm going to be showing everything through Zoom here in Anaglyph. And so if you want to watch it that way, get a hold of your anaglyph glasses. But hopefully, Eric, I'm not looking at the chat, but hopefully Eric is just about to post there he is. He just posted the link for the HTML5 gallery. That allows you to view the images in virtually any conceivable 3D format. And most importantly, in a format that you could either watch them side by side on a monitor or a laptop or an iPad, or if you have a 3D TV, it will show them in side by side squeezed, so you can view them that way, or maybe even interlaced if you get lucky. But that's how you go to it. And then occasionally, obviously, the one you have to advance them yourself if you look at it through that gallery. So occasionally, I'll probably indicate what we're looking at, so that if you are playing along at home, you'll know which image we're on. All right, so we had a good turnout for our final competition, including 2 entrants in the B group. And one of them is new member Gordon Now, who I see right here on my screen. So I'm glad to see we're getting some new blood in to the competition after kind of a long time without doing that. And once again, I took the opportunity presented by virtual judging to have a very global group of top 3D photographers act as our judges. So this year month we had Max Powell from Hillcrest, New Zealand, Andrew Hurst of Barnsley, which is in the north of England, and Dr. T. George Themmels, who's with us tonight from Brecksville, Ohio. You can direct any criticisms you have of the judging directly to him after the show. I'm sure he'd be glad to hear them. So my thanks to them. Now, first we're going to see all the images, and I'll read out the scores, even though, of course, they've already been judged. And then later in the meeting, we'll learn what our judges selected as the winning images. Okay, so let me bring that up.
You're starting in the standard category for those of us.
Yeah, although I'm going to explain all that as we go. And I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to click into this. And if I get that annoying window come up of move your cursor away from it, then somebody let me know. That thing drives me crazy, I tell you what. I think we're good so far. Okay, so let me just see if I can get this thing positioned so that I see Eric in my screen, because I like to have him. I do. It's perfect. So Eric, do the thing like you've done in the past, where you nod when the image is changed, because that gives me a reality check that what I'm seeing is what you guys are seeing too.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
I'm getting an enlarged image here, very much enlarged.
Anyway. Is everybody seeing it filling their screen more or less properly, or we have some people having trouble with this?
Yeah, I'm having an enlarged image.
Looks correct to me.
All right.
Looks very big to me.
Well, stand farther away from it.
No, it goes off the edges of the screen, so that's too big.
I have a feeling you've got to deal with the magnification of the way you've got your if you're viewing through a browser, you might just have to change the zoom ratio on that.
Yeah. Oliver, what I would suggest is if you're currently in full screen mode, just hit the escape key, and that'll put it back into a window for you.
And then you can, are you using a browser or using Zoom?
I'm using Zoom that I got to via the browser. So
you probably have your Zoom set up high on your browser, the zoom ratio. Anyway, moving right along, we have 3 potential categories: standard, which are images, standard 3D images photographed with a camera by the entrant. We don't have any computer-generated images tonight, but we do have one stalwart entry in the modified group, which are 2D to 3D conversions of artwork not created, but converted by the entrant. And we do, as I indicated earlier, have entries in both of our groups, advanced and beginner, at least in the standard category. Hopefully you guys are seeing these things about the groups of entrants. And our scoring system is the venerable and vaunted 5 through 9, the time-tested and time-honored. Is everybody seeing that? 5 through 9, okay. I think it's relatively self-explanatory. And of course, it's highly subjective. So here we go. Here's our standard category. The A and B group images are shown together, and they won't be distinguished for you while we're showing them, but in terms of the scoring, they will be. So here we go. And I'm going to say, Eric, let me know when you're seeing something. Okay, great. Scoring 8, 7, 8, 23. 7, 7, 7, 21. 6, 6, 5, 17. 5, 5, 6, 16. 6, 7, 6, 19. I'm starting to get good at this, I think. 6, 7, 6, 19. 6, 6, 7, 19. I just got a little bit stuck in a rut there. 7, 7, 8, 22. 8, 7, 8, 23. They woke up, our judges. 6, 6, 8, 20. 5, 5, 7, 17. 6, 7, 8, 21. 9, 8, 8, 25. So close. 7, 6, 7, 20. 6, 7, 7, 20. 6, 8, 7, 21. 7, 7, 7, 21. 6, 6, 6, 18. I'll pause on that long enough for Lawrence to unmute himself.
Mark of the beast.
There we go. We should just have a recording of that so we don't even need you around. 6, 6, 7, 19. 6, 6, 6, 18. 6, 7, 6, 19. 6, 7, 6, 19. It's an interesting how the scores always seem to cluster. 9, 7, 9, 25. 7, 7, 8, 22. 7, 6, 5, 18. 8, 9, 8, 25. 6, 8, 7, 21. 5, 6, 7, 18. 665, 17. 566, 17. 778, 22. 978, 24. 567, 18. 566, 17. 666, 18. 977, 23. 667, 19. 666, 18. 978, 24. All right, that was the standard category. We have one entrant and 3 images in the modified category. Here we go. Nine, 7, 8, 24. Nine, 8, 9, 26. So close, so close. 9, 8, 8, 25. Okay, you've now seen all the entrants. Now we are going to judge the theme award, and we're going to do that, the group here, everybody who's on this. Now, we've tried this a couple of times before on Zoom with limited success, so I'm not going to rely on any of Zoom's fancier features this time. Instead, I'm going to use the chat. So what I want to do is show you all of the images. I think there's 16 of them. They're also on the HTML5 gallery. So I'll show you all of those once, and I will show them again. And as I show them, I'll read out their numbers. And then when I'm through with it, so make a note of the one you like the most, the number. And then when I'm through with all of them, I want everybody just to enter into the chat their one and only first choice. Don't give me your first, second, and third. And hopefully a clear consensus will emerge. If it doesn't, we've got a problem. So again, I'm going to show you the 16 images once. I'm going to show them to you twice. The first time I'll run through them without any commentary, and then the next time around you will hear their image numbers, and then, like I say, when I tell you to, you'll type it into the chat. So do note, try to figure out which one you like the best, and then the second time around, hopefully you'll be able to
and don't forget, the theme is nightlife.
Good point. Yeah, minor thing that should have been mentioned there. Yeah, good point.
And we score 5 through 9.
No, you will simply pick the one and only favorite image out of the 16. That's all you need to do is watch them, determine which one you like the most, or
well, no, it's which one most embodies the theme of nightlife. So you may like one better, but it's not nightlife.
Good point.
Just for the theme.
Okay. Yeah,
just for the theme.
Yeah.
So it's which one of these images most embodies the theme of nightlife.
Well said. Okay, so here we go. There's going to be 16 of them. Now, when I give you the numbers, those numbers are not sequential. So keep your ears open. The numbers will not be 1 through 16. So this is the first of the images. The theme is nightlife. Trying to linger on them long enough to give you a good idea of which one you like the most.
Number.
I'll give you that the second time around.
Oh, okay.
Molly. I should have put this on the show so that every one of them is precisely timed the same. I'll do that next time. I might favor one by lingering on it for too long, or cause you to hate it. Yeah, anything is possible. Nightlife. Okay, here we go. We're now going to see them again, and I will read off the number. And as I said, make a note to yourself of the number of the one you like the most. And at the end, you'll type it into the chat. Number 1.
Make sure the chat is set to public.
I've been seeing people chat like crazy, so I think it certainly is, right?
No, I'm talking about for each person. If they're sometimes it'll it should say to everyone.
Right.
Make sure it does, because sometimes if somebody's privately chatted with you, that will change.
Oh, that you'll for the individual people, yeah. Why do I no longer see the chat thing? I don't know where the hell the chat went to.
Yeah, you need to send it to everyone. Chris Cassidy is correct.
Oh, where the hell is the chat? There it is. I'm going to put that in a little window.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to put the number in at the end?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
This is number 2.
Did I give you that this is number 2? Oh, why am I not in this? There we go. This is image number 3. Oddly, these ones are sequential, but they won't be. Number 4. Six. Okay, told you I was going to mess with you.
Do we have to recuse ourselves if we have entries?
Hell no, I wouldn't. 9. 14. 15. 16. 17. 19. 22. 27. 28. 32. 35. You've seen them all. So is everybody ready to register their score? Please, not everybody have a different one or we're completely screwed. I guess I'll copy or something this into a text file. I think I'm seeing a little bit of it. Andrew.
Andrew.
Why, Andrew? Why? Why?
A lot of good pictures.
There's always a joker. Did we get, has everybody entered? I'm going to see if I can copy this stuff out. You don't have to be a member, just freaking vote. Come on, we're not that picky. We're not in a position to be picky. Keep it going, it's looking good. Has everybody entered? I have no idea how I'm going to get these out of here. I just realized that. Let me just I copied the chat. Let me just pull it into Word and see if it, oh my God, it worked. Hang on, this is actually going to work incredibly well. I should have set up a little spreadsheet that counts them. I didn't have the presence of mind to do that. Whoopsie, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to, hold on. Why is this not coming in?
We
Let
we
me-
can move on, and you
I was
can
just
do
going to
the-
say, that's what I was just going to say. Let me
Yeah.
just make sure that I have the chat, because another thing came in. So I'm going to do that.
16 and 32 have the most.
Yeah, I think we've got a clear consensus. But I'm going to get those numbers in one more time. And yeah, I am going to go off. I'm going to have to do something about Andrew. And then I'm going to go off and tabulate these myself. I think I've got everything I need. So that's it. Yeah, let's moving right along. Did anything else come through? No, it did not. Okay. So that portion of our broadcast has ended. Who's next?
Oh, what I'd like to do now here, let me put myself up here. Okay, what I'd like to do now is introduce our guest speaker at today's meeting. Let's see, Charles, are you here?
I am indeed.
Okay, let me find you. There we go. Okay, so I would like to introduce my friend Charles Barnard. How are you, Charles?
I'm good. How are you, Eric?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you for coming tonight. For those of you who don't know Charles, he is a digital artist and game industry veteran from Stockton, California. From 2013 to 2020, he took over the 3D conversion duties for the late Ray Zone on Aaron Warner's Gone Mad, which was an ongoing comic strip featured in Stereo World magazine. In 2017, Charles was nominated for an Eisner Award for his 3D conversion work on Jim Woodring's Frank in the Third Dimension. And in 2019, he, along with conversionist Christian LeBlanc, converted 17 pages of Alan Moore's limited comic series, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Tempest, to full-color anaglyph. And we've invited Charles here tonight to talk a little bit about Ray Zone and what he learned from Ray and how he's carried on the tradition of 3D comic book conversion work. Thanks for coming, Charles.
Thank you very much. It's a huge honor to be here, for starters. I used to actually be a member of the LA 3D Club, about 5 or 6 years ago. And living in Northern California and being about 350 miles away from all the activities, I actually found it kind of frustrating because, I would get the newsletters and I would get very excited and then realize, there was really no way to participate in the meeting very easily. So this remote sort of environment is really exciting. I guess I should get started a little bit on kind of how I got into 3D conversion. I had been dabbling with it a little bit in my teens. Actually doing the cut and paste method that Ray was actually doing at the time. But I didn't really get to know who Ray was until the mid-'80s. So what I'm going to do is I have a little presentation that I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If it doesn't work very well, I can give the PowerPoint over and you guys can put it on your website or whatever so you can browse later. Some of the images are fairly detailed, and I realize that sometimes Zoom isn't the best environment for that. But I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get this going. And we will share. And hopefully the magic will work. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we got it.
Fantastic. Now, just a little heads up on this presentation. I do have images in the PowerPoint that are in anaglyph. You'll know it's an anaglyph image because there will be actually some little red and blue 3D glasses in the upper left-hand corner. I'm not going to go terribly fast. There's not a lot of slides. So, you'll eventually get the hang of it, but there is quite a bit of 3D anaglyph in this, and I'll certainly take my time. And if anybody wants me to slow down or explain anything, it's kind of your presentation too. I have no problems answering questions. So my first exposure to Ray Zone was through this comic book, which came out in 1984. My local comic shop actually held onto the issue for me. They thought it might be something I'd be interested in. And I'll be honest, I admittedly did not see the three-dimensional lettering at the top first thing. That wasn't where my eye went when I first saw the cover. But I got it home with a group of other comic books and opened it up and was just blown away. So what blew me away was this very first opening splash page by the art was by the late Dave Stevens, famous for The Rocketeer and some other comics. And I knew right away, I'd seen 3D comics before. I'd done a little bit of research on the history of 3D. Mind you, this is the mid 80s. So really my only reference at that time was books like Amazing 3D. I think I had another book in which they had reproduced a page from an old 3D EC comic from the 50s. So I was very used to this sort of 4 or 5 layers of depth. And the minute I saw this, I knew I was in for something kind of special. I could tell this was done using a different process than the standard 4 or 5 acetate layers. And the rest of the book just kind of knocked me out. Depth like this was just really astonishing to me at 21. I still wasn't completely sure how he was doing it. I thought it might be paste up, but it's so masterfully done. And the gaps are so beautifully filled that I wasn't entirely sure that anybody actually did that with an X-Acto knife. Even the house ads in this looked really good. Again, just, you know, it was such a standout from what I had previously experienced. Then we come fast forward to about 2005, I think it was, that Ray started working on the Gone Mad cartoon feature with cartoonist Aaron Warner for Stereo World magazine. I was very excited about this feature. For starters, by that time, I was familiar with Ray's work, of course, and had been collecting a lot of his comics. And I love the idea that, you know, we were going to get basically a bi-monthly dose of Ray. I mean, that was what really had me super pumped. When he started rolling with this thing, I really began to appreciate not only the humor of the cartoonist, but just the level of depth he was able to achieve. And I know by this time he's, you know, this is old hat to him. But I was still, you know, I learned a lot from looking at these images. These images here are actually given to me by Aaron Warner, the cartoonist himself, as samples so that I could see Ray's work in a higher resolution and get an idea of the level of quality. Needless to say, with very little experience actually converting comics at the time, I was pretty intimidated. You know, it was pretty amazing to look at these. Ah, yes, back in the days when we were allowed to have naughty things in Stereo World. Yeah, I tried to pick some of the classics, but honestly, I have very few of these. I'm actually showing most of them. All right, so, you know, Ray worked on this feature for 7 years. He did 49 of these. And then, of course, as we all know, on that unfortunate day in November of 2012, we lost him. I know that most of the people in this group were very close to him and good friends. I have to admit, I didn't know Ray that well. I had emailed him 2 or 3 times, ironically not on 3D conversion topics. He was actually an authority, as many of you know, on 3D films and filmmaking, and I was kind of considering undertaking that back in wow, probably 2002. So, you know, I can't really say I know Ray. Certainly not nearly at the level that most of you here do or did. But what was interesting was after his death, my concern was, okay, what was going to happen to this cartoon feature? And, you know, I had thought maybe someone was already in line to kind of maybe take on the 3D conversion task. And I approached, excuse me, I approached the cartoonist, Aaron Warner. And I'd never spoken to Aaron before. And I just said, hey, do you want to, you know, do you have anybody lined up to do this? And he said, very politely and professionally, no, we don't. And sent me a nice email explaining that he was very pleased that I was interested in trying to continue the feature. And did I have any samples to show? And at that point, I had experiments. I had literally done 3 or 4, and unfortunately, I was going to dig them up for this presentation, but they were very primitive attempts in Photoshop to sort of carry that same ray zone feel. I sent those to Aaron, and I didn't hear from him for about a week, but he got back to me and said, all right, we've talked about it, and we're going to give you a shot. Well, you know, this is one of those situations. Be careful what you ask for, because when you kind of go into something like this and you don't really know as much as you probably need to know, you'll get a drawing like this. And this was the first drawing I received from Aaron. The decision was to run the feature right after Ray's death. You guys might remember it was actually flat. It was a pile of 3D glasses, and it was not in stereo. It was his sort of commemoration to Ray. And then he decided he wanted to run the next one in 3D. So he sent me this drawing, and I loved the drawing, and I loved the gag. And then I realized I was in deep, because I had no idea how I was going to convert a tabletop or make sure, you know, make it look like a box of stereo views was sitting on it. I had no clue. So I really looked at it and I thought, okay, this is going to be a good week and a half worth of work for me. Just, you know, working evenings and weekends to get it figured out. So I casually asked Aaron, I said, so, you know, how long did Ray typically take on these? He goes, oh, he'd normally get them back to me in a day or two. And I seriously had second thoughts at that moment. Because I really didn't think I was going to be able to work at that pace, and I admitted it. I said, there's no way I could do this in a day or two. And he said, well, don't worry about it. You know, the schedule's not that tight. You know, do the best you can. So this was my solution, and I kind of considered this really my first conversion, because it really is my first completed conversion. And I think most of you with your trained eyes can see there's some issues, but I was pretty pleased at the time that I got it done, and it generally carried the effect I was going for. I can barely look at it now, I'll admit it, but at the time I was pretty excited. I learned a lot on this first cartoon. By the second one, and no, I'm not going to make you go through every single one of these. But on the second one, I really started wanting to explore getting more volume, actually getting roundness or rounding effects on characters. And this one took even longer than the first, because I really wanted to give roundness to their bodies and try to find as much opportunity to build out the depth. And over the subsequent years, this was a couple years later, I just started getting crazy. I mean, it just started to the point where I was getting comfortable enough with the process. And I'll talk a little bit about the process when I'm done here. I got so into the process that then I began building out details that really weren't even visible in the final reproduction of the magazine. As you know, those images are 2.5 inches wide. They're, I think it's 133 line per inch magazine print res. You really do lose quite a bit, even with magnification. but I was not deterred at all. I wanted to keep going. Any questions? Somebody? Okay. This is an example of how ridiculous things got. This was about a year later. By now I think this is around 2014, 2016, somewhere in there. But you can see, I mean, I'm starting to get into details here that will never be visible at magazine resolution.
Wow.
And I'm doing every hair, it's just, I'm just getting kind of nuts. The reason I'm showing this one, this was actually the next to the last feature that Aaron and I did together, this was the one time that my gag idea made it into the feature. Everything else had been written and conceived by Aaron. And he would always ask me once in a while, hey, if you get any ideas for gags, shoot them my way. I'd love to think about it. And I just don't consider myself a gag writer, so it was always like, no, I don't really have any ideas. But this one idea came to me of the idea of a couple doing the cha-cha with a camera, thinking they were taking stereo photos, the cha-cha method. So he actually wrote the final, and of course drew the final image here, but it kind of became one of my favorites just because of the fact that it's like the one gag I kind of got into this show. So here's a fun one. This one was never published, and some of you might be able to figure out why. But I'll cover the publishing issues after I discuss some of the technical issues. So oftentimes when you start rounding out a character, the pupils of the eyes are the first things that sort of tend to drift and no longer look like they're looking at other characters. This particular drawing was especially problematic because Aaron did draw the groom with these sort of staring eyes, not really staring at her, just sort of staring into space. So this concerned me a little bit because it seemed very detached from what the actual caption was. So I ended up doing some tests and we experimented with the eyes. So this was the way they were originally drawn. Then we decided to shift the pupils so that he was looking at her at least, or appearing to look at her in her general direction. And then, you can beat me up on the next one because this was my idea. I thought, well, why don't we really play up the gag and go for it? And fortunately, Aaron had the foresight and the better taste to say, no, we'll just go back to the correct and original idea. But he did appreciate the exploration. Well, all of this kind of was for naught, because at the end of the day, we submitted it, and John Dennis, the editor, and this is the first time we got censored. He put the kibosh on it. He said that not only, and he did this in a really nice email, by the way. He didn't kibosh it. He wrote a paragraph explaining why this might not be appropriate for general readership. And he pointed out, unbeknownst to me, that Mark and Lisa happened to be the name of the husband and wife who is the art director of Stereo World magazine. So we kind of had two strikes against us, and Aaron had to hustle up another cartoon, and I had to really crank it out. To this day, I can't even remember which one it was. I was trying to find it in my files. I know that it was, obviously safer for publication. But another aspect of this cartoon I always liked was I always thought that was Ray in the background conducting the sound.
I was just going to ask you about that, because I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Yes, and I never got a confirmation from Aaron. often in these cartoons, though, I did feel like I was seeing caricatures of a lot of NSA members, and he would never fess up to it. But I was pretty confident that he was doing a Ray homage here, but he never said yay or nay. All right, let's get past the eyes here and let's talk about something else. So the other time that I kind of crossed into Ray Zone's territory was in about 2016 or 2017, actually. I got an email from a friend of mine named Christian LeBlanc, who's actually out there right now in the call, and he's another conversionist. He comes from Canada, and he had been working for IDW, doing some comic work for them for a couple of years, and we had struck up a really nice relationship and conversations, and he got word through IDW that they were going to be starting a new series or an offshoot series called League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Tempest. A bit of history is that Ray did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Black Dossier in 2007. He converted 18 pages for that series, working with the artist, Kevin O'Neill, and of course, Alan Moore, the writer. So he did 18 pages in 2007, and they were full color or polychromatic anaglyphs similar to this. And now, you know, it's 2017, 10 years later, and the same team wants to bring some 3D into the new series, and they don't have Ray. So they contacted Christian, and Christian got a hold of me because he knew it was going to be a job that would be very challenging for one person to handle. You can get a sense at the level of detail here. And folks, if you're looking at this and wondering why there's the weird yellow ghosting, it's because they wanted us to do it literally in red and green. We really, really fought hard to talk them out of that. Because any of you who have tried to print anaglyph already know getting red and cyan is challenging enough in standard CMYK printing, but getting red and green is even more difficult because green just gets so dark so fast, so easily. But Christian and I divided up the work, and we ended up kind of overlapping. Sometimes I would cut the work up for him. I'd cut it up into pieces. He would do the conversion. Sometimes he'd send me his cut up files, and I would do the conversion. And sometimes we'd do a conversion and he would do a portion of it, and I'll get to that. This is the first page in issue 3 in which they transition from 2D to 3D, which is what you're seeing here. The panels gradually go into this 3D colored world. And that's that. From then on, it's all polychromatic 3D like this. And these pages were taking us an average of a week per, and we were working full time on them just to get everything cut up and formed and distorted so that it had the 3D that was appropriate. We were also sending roughs over to the artist Kevin O'Neill for approval, but most of the time we were approved out the door. I mean, they were really concerned at first because they weren't sure we were going to be able to match Ray, and you know, for good reason. But they were very, very pleased with what we were doing. They really felt it was in the same spirit. And we made a concerted effort to not overly deform things. Ray tended to work in more of a layered cut technique. So we tried to kind of emulate that in the same way. Both Christian and I tend to want to sculpt things out a little more. And we were really, really deliberately being kind of aware of, you know, how would Ray handle this? What would that page possibly look like? Big double page spreads like this were just brutal. They were fun, but they were a lot of work to get everything kind of figured out, how deep we wanted to go, with thin panels like this, it really narrows your aperture. So you have to be very, very careful about your infinity shift. Otherwise, stuff just goes away. And then you've got all of that, competing, flashing, missing elements. So there was a lot of testing to do pages like this. And Kevin O'Neill really likes this tall sort of little, little Nemo old school format. This was actually a final page for one of the stories. This one was challenging because of this sort of shellfish collage element. I ended up doing a lot of distortion and stuff to finally kind of get the form, but it was just literally a big collage of stuff. Here's a double spread. I think this is one I cut up, but Christian did all the conversion of, and it was quite a challenge getting those little geometric elements because they're really impossible, drawings. They're, the artist was playing with perspective, allowing some lines to show through and others be hidden. A lot of really hard decisions had to be made. And sometimes it works, and sometimes you're just constantly tweaking it to trying to resolve it and not make it look distorted or strange. This was a page I did. I'm a huge fan of big monster movies, so Christian was very generous because I pretty much pounced on it and begged to be the one who got to do it. But it was brutal. I got really caught up in the details, and actually I think this was one of the pages I was a little late on. I think I was about 4 or 5 days later than I had told them. And that's it. I think it goes without saying that without Ray, I would not have had the opportunities I've certainly had to work with not just Aaron Warner and Kevin O'Neill and other artists, but I went on to actually be able to work with artists like Jim Woodring. Right now I'm working with an artist named Mitch O'Connell. And 3D comics aren't dead. That's the good news. But if I were to say one thing about Ray Zone, there is no denying he will probably be the king of 3D comics for generations to come, if not just in sheer output. I've been doing this now for if you include Gone Mad, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and it isn't nearly the output that it's like, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like over 120 actual comic books. And that's not including.
Yeah, I think that there were even more than that over the.
Yeah, and that's not including the publicity stuff he was doing for companies and being hired to do the serial stuff. So this is the thing that really amazes me, is his output, but also he had a real artist's eye. He knew how to push the rules. I tend to approach it from that stereo photography school of, let's follow some basic principles, let's maintain a 1/30th rule, or at least the ballpark. And I still open stuff up that Ray's done, and I can just see where he just would crank it. It's like, oh, it's low contrast in the background. I'm gonna take it out, and he just was so experimental, and and that's just from the 3D side. Obviously, he is an amazing 3D evangelist. So there's my ooh-off fanboy presentation. Needless to say, huge influence, and I'm highly grateful for his existence.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, thanks for
glad you could join us and share this today.
Yeah, thank you for letting me take up time in your meeting.
You reminded me of another Ray Zone Aaron Warner collaboration that I can share here if people would like to see it. Back in 2012, when the National Stereoscopic Association held their 3D Con in
I was thinking about that cartoon he did. Yeah. Do you have
Aaron,
that?
Yeah, Ray and Aaron put together a comic book to promote the convention.
Yeah,
And
do you have it with you now? I have a copy.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I can actually share it if you want to see it.
Do it.
Yes, let's see it.
So this was the 4-page comic drawn by Aaron Warner and converted by Ray. I'm not sure why they chose these colors for the cover, knowing that it was going to be anaglyph, but the pages inside are monochrome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Aaron doing caricatures of various NSA members in the strips. And if you look in these, you'll see a number of familiar faces.
He insists that the guy on the registration table is me. Ray told me that. I don't quite see it.
Well, and there's David and
Oops,
Susan
sorry.
in the bottom.
No, not
right.
David and Susan. I'm talking about the registration
No, I know.
table.
Yeah. So right
And
there.
he said that other one was, he said that was me. And I said, no, that's Kuntz. He goes, no, Kuntz is bald. I wouldn't draw him like that.
I'm in another one where with
Yeah.
the photo of Rusty, and it says that's how you do one with bite or something. Or
The
other.
other one's John Golden below that. That's pretty apparent. I think, yeah.
And I'll go to the next page.
That's me, middle left. I'm assuming. Of course, I don't look that good, but
Yeah, you do.
And that's Barry Rothstein at the Phanogram table.
I've never seen this before.
we gave it out with the convention pack.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't opened the package
Oh,
yet.
that's you keep it in mint condition, and it'll
And-
go down in value.
That's
Don't
right.
open it.
That's right.
And if you look carefully at the bottom panel, I make a little cameo doing the projection.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
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 I see Bart Simpson.
Bart
too.
Simpson's in the
Yeah.
audience.
Of course.
Yeah. And there's one more page.
Amazing.
But the idea was to show all the different things that go on at the convention.
Yeah.
And to encourage
That was
people.
actually my idea, but I didn't guess how much that would cost. It was not cheap.
Well, no, it's because he actually put this in Stereo World, and an interesting bit of trivia about this. When I worked on Frank in the Third Dimension, and I was trying to determine the printing ink colors that would be best, because it was all line work like this. I actually, because this is such high quality printing, I actually used my PMS book to match the colors. And then I actually confirmed the colors with Ray to make sure, because I wasn't going to take on the Fantagraphics project. And so you understand the timing of this. I had been considering starting this before I even did Gone Mad and before Ray's death. So I actually had contacted Ray to kind of confirm the PMS colors that I was reading. But this is one of the few pieces where the color accuracy of the printing inks was preserved, because they went to like a 6-color press. So it had a standard CMYK cover, but then he had them do 2 custom formulated colors just to print the interior black and white. So I can't imagine that wouldn't have been expensive.
No, it was pricey.
Yeah, Ray had sort of his secret sauce. He had very specific colors that he used when doing monochrome anaglyph printing that worked exceptionally well on the page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Charles, Ray used to like to do a lot of gradients on both sides and reverse them. Do you
Yeah.
do much of that, or?
I did do the retinal rivalry effects. Are you talking about that? Yeah.
But he would do them specifically as a gradient. It was pretty cool the way
To
he
kind of get flashing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
See, that's the kind of thing that I actually had to kind of start getting into in just the last couple of years, because it became an opportunity where it's like, okay, I've got a comic with laser beams in it. I'll reverse them out just so I get some flash. But it's changing now. I just got done finishing the 3D menu for Revenge of the Shogun Women for the 3D Film Archive, and there's stars in the background, and I'm actually changing their intensity between left and right eyes, so you do get that nice sort of subtle sparkle. But I'm basically chicken when it comes to retinal rivalry. I tend to be kind of chicken about it.
Yeah, I noticed it was a little different, but
yeah,
that's one thing he taught. It's one of the few things he taught us how to do is just reverse the gradient on both sides, and it really has a cool effect.
Yeah, there's so much to learn, and again, I think a good portion of it is the fact that my admiration is the fact that he didn't need the rules. He knew the rules well enough that it really came down to how does it look, how's it working, and I tend to rely again on more steadfast. I'm a little more religious about it. My partner Christian, who's worked with me on stuff, is actually less religious. He tends to be really good at free-forming and pushing it a little further.
I know a lot less rules than Charles does. That's why.
Hey, buddy.
Well, and I've also, Charles, I've also thoroughly enjoyed all of the conversion images you've been posting on Facebook.
Thank you. Yeah. If you guys look me up on Facebook, I always publish them publicly, so you don't even have to be my friend to tour through. I got into the Facebook 3D stuff just as Facebook 3D hit. And I know arguably a lot of people don't consider it, 3D, but in reality, what's happening internally with Facebook is a depth map is used, and it's literally creating 3D shells that are getting rendered out. And I've been able to get some decent stereo views by just moving the mouse left and right, and I'm entering those in the folios that I'm part of as well. So it's been kind of fun.
Charles, you had some great curves that changed in depth, and I wondered how you approached that. And the other thing I was curious about was, have you tried using Adobe Illustrator for any 3D work?
No, I don't typically use Illustrator except for vector logo kinds of things. But even now, in Photoshop, for example, if I need to create a 3D logo and I need to create extruded edges or something like that, I have written scripts in Photoshop that actually allow me to set an angle, set the number of steps, and have it extrude and even scale to create extruded letters, which is typically a function you would do in Illustrator. But no, I usually do everything in Photoshop.
And how do you approach the curves that change in depth?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what curves you're referring to. Are you referring to the sense of volume or?
Yeah, you had like sort of a sweeping walkway and so forth that changed.
Okay. Those are actually done using Photoshop's standard transform. So in Photoshop, if you use a scale transform and you just scale it laterally, it's going to create essentially a wall or something that appears to recede flat to the viewer. If you use skew, you use that for floors or grounds, and it's going to give you that sense of ground depth. But anything you want that's running kind of vertically, I just use a scale control and I scale it a little so it's actually staying at one edge, and then it's just getting scaled slightly. Ironically, this is what Ray was simulating even back in his paste up days. What he would do if he had something that was flying at you like an axe or something, he would actually rotate the cutout a little bit so it would force the illusion that it's actually he's rotating a paste up. Very challenging to do because he's getting some vertical misalignment in the process, but he would do that just to get that depth. In Photoshop, it's more accurate. You don't get the vertical misalignment, and you can just literally scale it, and it becomes an object that'll sweep into the distance.
Fabulous work.
Oh, thank you.
Can I throw in a Ray anecdote here?
Please do.
Just on that subject of the rotation, one of the very first things Ray did for Susan at 3D Video is before they did the comic book, they did like an 11x17 poster of like a big splash panel of the main character, and there was a like a ray gun type of ray coming from the character's eye through, and it was like going, instead of just like, as you said, instead of the cardboard cutout levels, it was literally going diagonally in depth from back towards you. And we said, well, how did you do that? You know, and he mentioned, he told us the rotation thing, and the quote was, "Rotation is my friend." So that's what Ray said. And Susan used to, and I used to say that for years, like, rotation's my friend. And he did love the retinal rivalry too. Yeah.
Well, and another hat off to Ray here, because he did transition to Photoshop pretty smoothly. And maybe Eric, I know you were close to him and maybe you knew more about this, but I think it was sometime around 2005 or 6 when he did an issue that was entirely done in Photoshop. And I mean, you know, he had his methods down pat by then. So I can't imagine that there wasn't some challenge in learning and adapting that to Photoshop, which is really, I wouldn't say it's an intuitive thing to do.
He started moving to digital and figured out how to do a lot of his paste up techniques in Photoshop. What you were saying about the stretching and skewing, those were the techniques that he taught me that I ended up using on the Simpsons theatrical short. So I basically did that Simpsons short using all the Ray Zone comic book techniques.
Yeah. And that looks amazing. I can only find a German cut of that, by the way, just letting you know.
Yeah, sadly, 20th Century Fox never released it to the home video market, and now it's owned by Disney, so good luck with that.
Yeah, okay. We'll start the petition.
Okay.
There was a bootleg of it on YouTube that Disney's put a takedown notice on, so I'm not even sure where you could see it now.
Yeah.
Before we go on, I wanted to also introduce Ray's sister is here, Johnny.
Actually, we have several members of Ray's family.
Oh, okay. I did say, Johnny, you want to unmute and say hello, or?
Unmute. Okay, there we go. I think my camera's not working for some reason, but can you hear me?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this means so much. And my brother, he was always my hero. I thought he despised me when I was little because I was such a brat, but he was always my hero, and he was so brilliant, and I miss him so much. And this week, I didn't even really mention his birthday because it's just hard. But you all, his 3D family, I mean, we're so important. And Susan, my other sister, his 3D sister, I mean, you all keep him alive. And, they say that as long as you remember and as long as you speak their names, they're not gone. And he's not gone. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you and how you are keeping my brother alive. He's, so important. And so I love that you all keep him alive by speaking his name. And so thank you. It means a great deal to me and to my whole family, to my kids. And And so just thank you. You know, I have, of course, an appreciation for 3D that I never had because my brother was the evangelist, you know, and I have the books and I have all the samples and everything in my library here. But I just want to say a very, very sincere thank you to all of you for keeping my brother alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
and I
Thank
love
you.
your oat box.
Thank you. Me too. I talk to Ray every day.
Thank you. Yes.
We're so happy that you and Jennifer were able to join us here today.
Hi, Jenny.
She's probably not unmuted.
She's
Hello.
there. She is.
There she is.
I looked for a very special 3D piece Ray did, but I think it's in storage. So some of you may know my art form is I paint in the flesh. I raise top winning Great Danes.
Wow.
And Ray did videos. Ray did a 3D memorial for a dog I lost very young that I loved so much. And it was published. So I will try to find it and get it off to you.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
I'd love to add it to the 3D Legends.
Yeah, it was back in the 90s, and I will try to find it. It is the only 3D memorial to a Great Dane ever published, of course.
What was the dog's name?
Adonis. Dunroman's Adonis von Rasiak. He died at 18 months old.
Well, that's quite worthy of contributing to Ray's website, and I'd love to add it if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, as soon as I get to my storage unit. I'm sorry, I was cooking dinner. I'm in my pajamas. I didn't mean to put my video on.
Jenny, I'm in bed. Don't apologize.
As soon as I locate it, I will get a copy of it to all of you because it was like his gift to me. He knew my passion. The two. It was actually a very big gift to me for him to combine our two worlds like that. He was 21 years my senior. So he was more of a father figure to me, but like the cool dad who took you to cool places and did great things with you.
And don't worry about the pajamas because I don't have any pants on.
Well, thank God I had clothes on. But yeah, we deeply appreciate all of you. Ray loved all of you. And that you keep his passion and his art form alive means so much to all of us.
Well, he was a wonderful, wonderful human being who left so much in this world to so much of.
Well, I can tell you, as good as he was at 3D, he was equally as good as being a big brother.
You were very
my mother. Yeah, and my mother, if she were living, would tell you he hung not only the moon, but the sun. So he was a wonderful son.
Definitely the favorite.
So, but thank you all.
Well, we're so glad you could be here. You know, Ray was such an important part of this club for so many years. And yeah, we learned so much from him and will continue to keep his memory and his work alive. And
we're going to have
we're going to have a show and tell to end the meeting.
I think we need the results. Competition.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. We're going to have a show and tell at the end of this meeting. Where we'd love to hear more stories about Ray and any Ray Zone images or items that you may have that you want to share. And we'll do that right after we hear how the competition results ended up.
David Kuntz, are you there?
Okay, I am here. I am ready. I am going to, where the hell's the share button? There we go. Take over and do that. And if all goes well, any moment now, you should be seeing the logo. And it's an anaglyph once again. Has everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay. Are we good to go? We're all seeing it?
Yep.
Okay. We'll start off with the modified category. We had just the A group. The HM by Jim Long is Rembrandt, Christ Storm, Lake of Galilee, 25 points.
Ooh.
It's a tough combination to beat Jim Long and Rembrandt.
Wow.
And the award in the A group, again, Jim Long, he's sole entry, but he probably would have won anyway. Discord for Analogy by Michael Cheval, 26 points.
Incredible.
Denied Perfection by one stingy judge.
Absolutely incredible.
Moving on to the standard category, again, we had B group entrants, and our HM got 21 points by new member Gordon Now, Aludels.
What is it?
Aludels. That's a pear-shaped glass thing or something or other is what that means. Gordon can expand on that later. And the award in the B group, 24 points. Keep note of that score because it's higher than the A group score, by Andrew Park, The Emerald Forest. Works particularly well in anaglyph because this is actually what it looked like in color too. So he chose well.
Who knew?
Yeah. Okay. A group standard category. There are 3 HMs which got 22 points. The inimitable Abe Perlstein gives us Sunrays Hazard Canyon.
Hooray!
Also works extremely well in anaglyph because it's black and white.
Yep.
The second of our HMs by Lawrence Kaufman is Reenactors, again, 22 points. And keeping it all in the family, the third HM is from Cassie Kaufman, Sideways Man. That'll save me money on sending them the ribbons because I can put both of them in one envelope. So thank you. And the awards in the A group standard category, 23 points. The first, there are 2. Basketball Toss by Lee Pratt. And from Susan Pinsky, Castlecombe Store. Again, 23 points. And our theme award. Out of the 40 votes that were cast, it got 9. The next one was 6. So we had a very clear consensus on this. It's Queen by Eric Kurland. And the system we just had for judging the theme award seems to work extremely well. So we'll be doing it that way in the future.
Oh.
So that concludes the competition. Thank you for entering. And of course, you'll see the full statistics, cumulative. Oh, you won't see the cumulative scores in the news this month because those will be revealed in whenever the heck, July, when we have the image of the year presentation. But you will see the winners from the May competition. So that's it for the May competition. Thank you. And thank you to our judges. If George is still here, I don't know. Did we lose him?
George, are you still here?
Probably dropped. No, he's still here, but he probably fell asleep.
Oh.
He doesn't say much.
I have a question. Is Jim Long here?
He was.
He was.
Yeah. Jim, are you still here?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, was that painting the one that was stolen from the Isabel Stewart Garden?
That's why I chose it.
Sure was. He did that. He stole it and he actually cut it with scissors.
Yeah. I was going to ask him if that's what he did.
Right.
We finally solved the mystery.
Yeah.
Did you watch that movie?
He couldn't have got that detail if he hadn't had it sitting in his living room. And now we know the reason and who has it. So
yeah, they still haven't found it. It's out there somewhere.
Jim, can I ask you
about that show?
Can I ask you a question, Jim?
Sure.
The one where the piano is on the ceiling or whatever that instrument is.
Yeah, that was nasty.
how long did that take? I'm going to guess it took at least a week.
No, but it took a lot longer than I thought. I'll just put it that way, because half the time you're working upside down. I mean, mentally, because that gal with the piano on the ceiling, I had to think about, okay, what is in front of what? And you're working up and upside down. It was a lot trickier.
Don't you can always just rotate the whole thing, right?
Yeah, but when you're working, you can't flip back and forth because you're working on the floor and the ceiling simultaneously.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, it was nasty.
incredible image.
That's a spoof of a Vermeer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I did that because one of the Vermeers was also stolen.
Right.
That same
the piano
ice.
lesson.
So when I saw that show, I first picked the Rembrandt, but then I said, the regular Vermeers are okay. But then I saw that other one. I saw, there's my choice.
Yeah, I lived there when it happened, so I have a very strong memory of that museum.
Really?
Which museum?
Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum. It's a lady in Boston, and when she died, she specified that the museum be kept exactly as it was when she died. So they couldn't change anything, and that was in the 1890s. Yeah, it's your typical quirky Boston thing.
No, I think there's a whole special, I think it's on Netflix, about it and the aftermath.
Yeah.
The Barnes Museum in Philadelphia, they had a problem with that. That's another long story.
They
I'm
even
a bit of
have
a buff on this stuff, so I have a great
They even
book
have
that's
the
called-
pictures on the wall, just empty frames instead. Here's
Yeah.
where the Rembrandt was. It's still there, just the frame.
I got a good book on the subject called The Gardner Heist.
Oh.
Good book.
So anyways, who has show and tell? I ask people to put that in the list if they have anything.
In the chat, you mean?
Chat, yeah.
Yeah. If you have something you'd like to show, just let us know in the chat.
I think somebody mentioned already they had something. Chris Cassidy, do you have something? Dave Kerlander? Dave.
Abe said he has something.
Now he's on a phone call, but he
Oh,
did have.
Abe. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I do have I just, I forgot how many I had, but I have a bunch. So if I can share the screen.
Sure. Oh.
Let's see. How do I do that? Share screen. Okay, now I'm going to now I don't know how to do this properly, but I'm going to shrink it so you can all look at it. This is a cross viewing, I believe. Is it cross viewing? Yeah. So this is Perry Hoberman and Ray at the San Jose SDA. Stereo. What is it again?
Stereoscopic Displays and Applications Conference.
You actually made it smaller, or whatever you did.
I meant to make it smaller so you could see it.
Oh.
It's cross-eyed.
If it's across, you don't have to shrink it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep it
That's
like
true.
that.
Parallel is.
And hold on, I'm gonna. Ray took this one of me at the same thing. So I got a couple of pictures of that Ray took. This is another. No, John Topin shot this. Hold on, I'm gonna get to another one.
That's Clutho, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, Clutho.
Hold on. That's a Perry Hoberman shot. Hold on, I got him here. Yeah, Ray took this one of me.
Is that a stereo? What did they call those? The
Vectograph?
Fluoroscope?
not a vectograph.
Not a
color
fluoroscope. That's funny.
Stereojet.
It might be a Stereojet. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Oh, wait, here we go. This is the only thing, if he hadn't gotten that light in the thing on the shot, it would have been better. Hold on, I got a couple more in another thing. Let's see. How do I go out of it? Okay, hold on.
We don't know what program you're using, so.
Now, this is a shot of Ray from the 3D Indie Film Expo that happened in Paso Robles. That's the great Ramblin' Jack Elliott with Ray. They hit it off right away. And let's see, I think there might be another one in here. Hold on.
Who's the big folk guy before Dylan?
Yeah, he was. I thought I had another one of Ray. I don't think so. I think that's it. So, oh, and Ray shot this. I might as well just show this. Sort of a, I wish it had a bigger one, but I don't. That was when I first started shooting with that twin rig. Oh my God, I still have that shirt. Anyway, that's it.
Why not?
You don't still have the cameras, huh?
I still have the cameras, but you know what? I don't shoot film anymore.
No.
That's it.
Okay, Eric, you got anything?
Eric, you're muted.
Battle for the three-dimensional world. This is
one of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Okay, this is. We actually rehearsed this meeting, so I hate to see it if we didn't rehearse. This is Battle for the Three-Dimensional World, which they were talking about. Ray gave me this because Jack Kirby's son and his kids and our kids went to the same Sunday school. So I mentioned that they had worked with him, and so he was appreciated it. Unfortunately, by the time I got these, Jack Kirby's had moved. His son had moved, so I've never seen him, but it's still waiting for him next time I see him. So I thought it was really nice of Ray to get some of these for them, and he signed them somewhere. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, I have one of my favorite Ray Zone projects here. I'll turn off my anaglyph so I can hold this up. One of my favorite Ray Zone projects was the 1990 Batman 3D book. With art by John Byrne, but Ray went back and okay, so there's several stories in here in 3D. The new John Byrne story, but they also went back and took one of the classic stories from the 1950s Batman comic book, and Ray improved on it a bit. Let me find it here. So there's this story in the book that was actually originally published back in the 1950s, and Ray went back and reworked it to improve it a bit. And then there's also this really great gallery of images, and one of my favorites is, let me see if I can hold this to the camera, is this image of the Joker tossing these cards.
Nice.
I think it's your camera on anaglyph and it's an anaglyph. I don't know.
No, I turned the anaglyph off on the camera.
But your headphones.
But anyway, this yeah, I have anaglyph headphones. So anyway, this is one of my favorite of the books that Ray did, and it's also in the back. It's got these glasses.
Oh.
Page that has Ray's bio.
Yeah. What year is that?
I believe this was 1990.
Okay.
Eric, do you know if he had, like how he got a hold of or was able to do the old Batman comic? Because it's like I'm trying to imagine working from a separation from a comic.
That's a good question. I'm not actually sure if he was able to get left and right separations, or if he started with the actual art. Lawrence, do you know how Ray worked on that old comic?
I don't think he had the original art. He probably made a black and white copy and worked off of that.
Yeah, I was going to speculate. He could have just filtered out one side to create a single black and white and then start from scratch with his normal process.
Right, right. I also loved, Ray had his own 3D Zone publishing company. And one of the things that he did was he took some of the 1950s comics that were fake 3D. These were in what they called True Vision, where they drew the artwork so that they appear to be popping out of panels, but it wasn't actually a 3D comic book. And then Ray took these comics and made proper 3D comic books out of them.
Oh.
And then published them.
He also did a very strategic device with those where he started incorporating patterns into the borders, which really helps with pop-out effects because it reduces ghosting, as some of you may know. Again, more Ray James.
Yeah. Here's a really good example. You can see there's like spiral lines that he put onto the page.
Yeah, it's not only styly, but it's really going to help if reduce the ghosting of any pop-outs.
Here's another one where he made it the sort of a rocky pattern in between the boxes, the panels.
Yeah.
How does that reduce ghosting?
Well, when you, and this is actually something we dealt with quite a bit on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We had a lot of stuff that came out of panels. The artist drew a lot of stuff that edged out of panels. And naturally, Christian and I, realized those were supposed to pop out. When you have an object against a white page, the risk of ghosting is higher because the contrast is so high. So all the line work and everything is going to be very visible because of the fact you have this very bright white edge. Christian might be able to speak more to this if he's still on, but what Christian did is he developed a method where he was actually kind of fogging or darkening or lightening those things as they came off the edge to try to reduce the ghosting problem. He spent a lot of time on that. He actually handled a lot of that back end, trying to figure out how to get it to print and in that horrible red and green. The green was terrible. The glasses were super dark and really absorbent, so it was really hard to look at. But
it was all a matter of lowering the contrast and brightness and juggling those against because you want the bright colors that pop, but at the same time you want the 3D effect to be preserved as well. So it was really a trade-off there.
Yeah. And didn't you redo it for the trade when it finally came out to the trade paperback? You went through and did another pass?
Every single page, and I'm really happy to say that the depth maps that you used for that splash page in the one with the guy wielding the axe, the depth map that used to that collage turned out a lot better in the trade.
Oh, great! Yeah, I haven't taken a close enough look.
I did you proud, Charles.
Thank you.
What was the point of the red and green?
That was pushed entirely by, I'm not sure whether it was Kevin O'Neill or Alan Moore or both. Both of them are British, and they really felt from their memory of 3D comics from their childhood was red and green. And even before we did the conversions, we really tried to work on them to move it to red and cyan, so we would have, no pun intended, a ghost of a chance. And as a footnote to this, when Zone did his version in 2007, and we noticed it immediately, we noticed he did traditional red and cyan, which was typical of his polychromatic 3D. And we were kind of curious about it because the glasses that came with that book were the red and green, but it still worked fine. We actually kind of busted our butts to try to actually match the green. And it was an uphill battle all the way. And we could not talk him out of it. There were quite a few emails where we were trying to really even demonstrate how much better red and cyan would work. And they were very adamant they wanted the red and green.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Charles's method of applying the red and green for the color means that it could be the first printed red and green polychromatic 3D comic. Charles, would you agree?
I don't know of any other, because I don't think anybody was as crazy as we were, but we were kind of forced into it. We didn't have a choice.
Well, I have a question. If, even though they supplied red and green glasses, if it's polychromatic, the green tends to knock out all the color in the glasses. So if you look at it with red and cyan glasses, which a lot of people have, doesn't it look way better?
It does. It does, David.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
And that was the first thing we noticed, was the fact, because also you have the advantage of the cyan not only allowing more color to pass through, but it's a much brighter lens, particularly if you're using American paper optic glasses. And even more on the green lens thing, they wanted to have exactly the same glasses made for the new book as the old book. So that involved my actually having communication with the president at APO and making sure they were using the same lens run, because we were balancing specifically to the 2007 lenses. And it got very complicated because they couldn't guarantee that they would be able to access the same lot. They didn't color control their green lenses as highly as they do their cyan. So they did their best, but in the end, yeah, it was challenging and nerve-wracking.
I think Susan has a story to tell if you got a minute here.
Go for it.
We always have a minute for Susan.
Okay. Susan?
Hi,
Oh, good. There you are.
I'm here. I just wanted to say that when I read that article that Ray Zone wrote in Fanfare, I was so impressed by it. So I just want to impress upon you that everything in life is a stepping stone. You never know what is going to lead to what else. But Ray wrote that article about 3D, and David and I read that article, and we were so impressed with how much knowledge he had that when I got hired to do this 3D comic for 3D video, I thought, I want that guy who'd written that article. And through the magazine, I contacted Ray. And when I finally talked to him on the phone, he had been working at a job at Kaiser Steel in Pomona for 14 years. And after he agreed to do the writing of the comic book for me, the next day he went and quit that job.
Oh.
After 14 years of working there. So it completely changed his life. So you never know in life what is a stepping stone and what isn't. And within a couple of days of he wrote a wonderful story. I have the original story that he wrote that was not used because the owner of the company revised it to include himself and a few others. But I had to fight for keeping in the information that Ray wrote. But Ray, within days, Ray came over to 3D Video and asked for a job there and got a job at 3D Video. So anyway, I miss him terribly. And I just have to show you again. This is what I wake up to every day.
What did he do at 3D Video?
What?
What did he do at 3D Video?
I was in charge of the packing and packaging of the items for the glasses and the point of purchase items and the posters that were sent out. He was in charge of all that. And because at the time, 3D Video didn't last very long. It lasted less than 2 years. but in that 2-year time, they grossed about $12 million,
Wow.
but they spent 14 million. And they sent out everything Federal Express. So we all got paid well. We had a lot of fun. We had our separate department called 3D Cosmic Publications. And at the very end, all of us got laid off. But I think Ray got laid off a day or two before I did. And one day I came to work, and in the lobby of the office building that I worked in, where it said 3D Cosmic Publications, that was missing. And I knew who had it. And it took me years to find something to trade off with Ray to get that back. And now it's on the door of one of our bedrooms in our house. So, but I got it back. But he worked in a different building, and 3D video was in a different building, and it was all in North Hollywood. So there's some pictures of Ray, or at least his department, the packaging and shipping department on 3D Legends.
Oh, I'll have to go look for that.
Cool.
There's a lot there.
I'll have another story about Ray. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just see in the chat that Lawrence and Cassie said they have something they wanted to
I'll let them go first. They've written it in, so let them go. Let Lawrence and Cassie do it.
Okay. We'll take our turn. It's actually Cassie's turn, but hi, Charles. Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Cassie. Finally.
Right. So I'm in an SSA folio with Charles, and he sends out stereo cards that are absolute works of art.
Oh,
so very enjoyable. But what I was going to show today was, so I have some stereo cards made by Ray. There we go.
Wow. This
one he entitled Street Glow, October 2003.
Reflection.
This one is Circles in Space. It is
over to the. Okay.
Oh, sorry. There, I can see myself now. It's artist Oscar Fissinger, Oil on Canvas. So this was a man that he actually came to a few conventions and used to come.
That was somebody else.
Okay. This is a 3D painting. This is something Ray worked on. Kid cuisine, frozen meals. So after the kid after he ate the food, or she ate the food,
Or me.
there was the tray had 3D drawings on it, so the kids could see the 3D after they finished their meal. But
oh my God, do you have one of those?
yes, I have more than one of those. We're talking Lawrence here, don't forget.
Wow.
This is a theater, it's not titled. He loved theaters.
Yeah, lucky.
Wow.
Some of them are lucky.
And here's another theater. This says Chinese Red, 7/5/2001. Oh. Sorry, there's a big glare. Just a couple more. This one, Glow. And then this is from the 86 Riverside Convention. I think, is that Gail?
I can't tell, but it looks like it.
I think that's Gail. But these were all made by Ray.
86, wow.
She was in black, so it probably was.
So the only other thing I have, it's not Ray related, but it's cat related. Look at the cool pin.
Wow. Wow, where'd you get it?
I'll put the link in the chat. I got it online, and she sent me this cute extra sticker to go with it.
Ooh, she wants it. She wants it.
So that's all I have. David can talk.
David Kuntz is next, I think.
Okay. Hang on here. Let me see what the heck I'm doing. Why don't I see that? I guess I'm going to do this. If all goes well, you should be seeing an anaglyph. Is everybody seeing it?
Yes.
All right. This is once again at the aforementioned 1986 Riverside Convention. I have a lot of pictures of Ray sitting behind tables full of comic books. This is at the baby shower for Gail and Ray when she is pregnant with Johnny, who of course is now phenomenally successful at Alan Ray's barbecue. And he's the one who's the bun in the oven in this shot. This was at Susan and David's house, 1987. 1993 with Marjorie Webster called Margette. He was a huge promoter of her and her images of Hollywood celebrities in 3D, of course. Nice shot of Ray at a club meeting in 2008 with Claudia Hunan. From 2009, they're judging the competition. I don't think I need to say who everybody is in this one. Hopefully they're all immediately recognizable to you. 2010. This is already when we're at the
I have that book.
Yeah, we're at the Armory for the Arts by then. It's hard to believe we've been there for 11 years. Yikes. And finally, here's, we went out to dinner in the brief period in which Ray and Kathleen were actually married. Lucy and I went out to dinner with them in Koreatown and had Korean barbecue. And this is particularly significant to me because after we finished dinner, we walked across the street to another Korean place to have dessert. And we walked by a car alarm place that had a little neon sign of a car in the window. And I took a series of photos that became my very first neon composite. It's the one I developed the techniques that I now use quite a bit. But Ray was right at my elbow as I did that, what now I consider to be a somewhat historic image for me. And that was just a lot of fun that night. And then I will stop sharing. And then I too have a stereo card of Ray's, which appropriately is a neon image of his. And it is also from what Cassie was just talking about, from an SSA folio. So you sent these things around and people commented on them. And then you got the view returned to you. I'm not exactly sure how I ended up with this. I think it might have been that I had this in my possession when he passed away. And I thought, well, I'm just going to pull that one out for myself. So I don't have the collection that Cassie did. I guess he liked her a lot more than me. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, David Starkman.
I don't have any actual show items, but just, I guess, another story as, when we had our Real 3D business, we would frequently get phone calls from companies like ad agencies and companies that wanted to do some kind of anaglyph or promotion or whatever. And we really enjoyed and regularly made referrals to Ray because the one thing about Ray, and we talked about, is no matter how crazy any idea that any company had that they wanted to do, Ray would never say no. He'd figure there's got to be a way to do it. And that was just a wonderful thing about Ray and 3D, is there wasn't anything he wasn't willing to try to make 3D. So that's just a little story.
Did anyone else have something that they wanted to share?
I've got a little, just a quick anaglyph I can show.
Carl, go ahead.
I just got a quick anaglyph here I can show of him. I think this was from, boy, I think this would have been just before he.
We're seeing your desktop.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh, the
He and I-
Toshiba.
Yeah, he was I think this was just before he passed. As one of the last meetings, he was there shooting everybody in 3D. So I caught him shooting me, so I got him back. Anyway, that's it.
I have one more thing I can share. Back in, I think it was 2011, Ray and John Hart and I did a class at the Echo Park Film Center on shooting 3D using a 16mm Bolex camera and the Bolex 3D attachment lenses. And one of the students in the class, Darren Gross, shot some Bolex footage of Ray. So let me optimize this for video, and I'll show you a little bit of footage of Ray shot on a Bolex.
What format is it going to be?
This is anaglyph. I put this up on YouTube so you can watch it in anaglyph. And keep in mind the way the Bolex shoots on a 16mm frame, on a single frame, it shoots both the left and the right image. So you end up with this weird portrait format image. So Ray just hammed it up for the camera doing 3D gags.
I remember that.
I think my internet just froze up. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got something I can share real quick if that
Hear you.
dies.
Okay.
Ray is in the opening of Night of the Living Dead or Reanimation, whichever one it is. He's in the casket in the opening scene, which
See if I can turn this into a who can guess where that was taken?
bathroom.
What?
Is it the church basement?
I'm seeing JPL here.
Yeah, that's a JPL. That was
Oh,
a club
JPL.
tour at JPL.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Mhm.
Holding the missile?
Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of that. Sorry. That's it. Okay, anybody have anything else? We'll open it up to general conversation.
Yeah, I have a progress report on the Cinema
Okay,
Edge Pro.
we'll kind of close the meeting off and then you can.
Okay.
talk about that.
All right.
Yeah, let's give Charles Barnard a big hand. Thank you so much, Charles, for coming today.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Charles.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
It was an honor. Thanks so much.
Great presentation.
Learned a lot.
Okay, so the meeting's officially over, but I'd like to introduce Oliver,
Hi.
Oliver Dean, who is our longest member, who's been a member since 1874.
Right.
Take it away, Oliver. He's also our most technical savvy member.
No, I'm not. David and Susan and Eric are far, far more technically savvy than I am. But in any case, I'm following this Cinera Edge Pro headset with great interest because it appears to be very compatible with looking at 3D Blu-ray images that you can then see in full high resolution without any screen door effect. And they're making good progress. There was a progress report for April that came out in early May, about a week or so ago. And they were saying that they're past the big roadblock that they had with the construction of the headset where the earpieces are located, because they were having some problem with a weakness or something with that, and they had to get it strengthened so it wouldn't break. And they got past that, so they're now real happy with the design. And they did 707 tests on this unit to make sure that they had everything right. And they have the last 10% of those tests to do, and then they can go into tooling for the production run. So they're expecting to be able to go into tooling by the end of this month, and that would mean probably a good shot at starting production sometime in July. So hopefully we'll see some units coming off the production line in the middle of July. So that's the latest on it, and we'll get another report from them later this month.
Is this a Kickstarter, and what's the resolution per eye?
Okay, what they've got, actually, the way to really look at the resolution for a headset is the number of pixels per degree of viewing, and they have 38 pixels per degree, which does a lot better than the Oculus Quest, and rivals the pixels per degree that motion picture people shoot for in theaters. So this should be a pretty good image with very high clarity, and also there are OLED images, OLED pixels in there, so you should get good color. If you want to figure out how to get a pixels per degree, you have to do a little bit of trigonometry. But when you get through, you'll find out that the image that they're promoting for their headset is similar to looking at a 55 inch 3D television set from a distance of about 36 inches. So that fills up your field of view pretty well, and to be able to fill it up that much without screen effect, without screen door effect, I think is pretty amazing.
Is that a 4K TV that you're talking about?
No, it's not. It's I think the resolution is 2650 by 1440, something like that. So it's bigger than high definition, but not as big as 4K.
Okay, thank you.
And again, Oliver, was that a Kickstarter?
It's Kickstarter. It's now handled by Indiegogo, but the two of them seem to be working together on it. I don't know what the arrangement is that they have, but if you look at it under Indiegogo, and then look for the Cinera, CINERA, you can see all the details on their specifications, our proposed specifications.
Okay, thank you.
I put a link up. Is that the right link, Oliver?
Oh, what do you got it on the chat?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get the chat back here.
I just did a Google search for it.
Okay. I don't see it on my.
It looks like it to me.
It's $1,600.
No.
That's not it.
That's for 2 or 3 of them. I think it's going for $5.99 right now for the Kickstarter thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's scroll down farther. It says $5.99.
Yeah, $5.99 for one. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. And it's self-contained. It doesn't hook up to your PC or.
You can hook it up to a bunch of different things. They've got a fancy dancy bunch of connectors going to it. An HDMI connector, which will take a whole bunch of things. Among them, what do you call it? The Blu-ray 3D player. You can hook in there directly, so you don't have to go through a computer to view the Blu-ray images.
Yeah, it's specifically designed to be a 3D movie and image viewer. It's not a VR headset. It doesn't have any of the tracking that a VR headset would do. It's specifically designed to either have 3D movies loaded onto it. I believe it'll run a flavor of Android, or have a Blu-ray player, computer, or whatever other device connected over HDMI so that you can play a 3D Blu-ray and watch it on the headset.
It has batteries in it?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's a rechargeable battery.
Right. Yeah, that's how batteries. That and also little fans in it, I understand, too, to keep it cool, which I think would be really interesting. Oh, and the headsets are really astonishing. They've got Dolby licensed headsets, which have 4 speakers in each ear, so that you can play back a 5.1 Dolby stereo and hear it in surround sound stereo.
I think I'm going to get one just to make my 14-year-old jealous.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah.
Thanks, Oliver. Okay, so we're going to open it up. Anybody else have anything they need to add, or?
I'd like to announce I'll be doing an online 3D screening this Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be showing the independent feature film Charlie Victor Romeo from 2013. This was a filmed version of a play, and it's several vignettes, all based on the transcripts of cockpit voice recorders from planes that had incidents or crashes. Really.
Oh, I remember that. You showed that once, right?
Yeah. We showed that at the Downtown Independent.
It was a play.
It was a play first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten permission to stream that on Sunday afternoon at 1. And we've recorded a new introduction with Patrick Daniels, one of the producer, director, performers. And back when we showed this at the Downtown Independent in 2014, we did a Q&A at the theater and shot the Q&A in 3D. In fact, Andy, you might have been on one of the cameras for that. We used a couple of Panasonic cameras to shoot the Q&A. Never been seen before, but I finally got around to digging it out and editing that together. So after the movie, we're going to run the Q&A from the Downtown Independent 2014 in 3D.
Did one with Bob Fermanek, I remember. At the
Was he there? I don't remember that.
It was in Santa Monica for another movie.
So if you want to get more information, you can either go to the 3D Space website, or you can go to cvr3d.eventbrite.com.
Eric, are you going to be doing the normal are you going to be doing the normal 3D film festival this year?
That's really up in the air. First, it's kind of hard to know just when things will be opened up enough to be able to do an in-person festival. And secondly, at this point, I don't know that the theater that we've been doing our screenings at will be reopening. So finding a venue to do the festival is also going to be a factor. I'm doing everything I can to try to get a festival going, but I may have to push it to 2022.
Do you think that there's a shortage of movie production going on in 3D for your festival?
No. Actually, I'll be doing the 3D Cons virtual 3D theater for the convention in August, and I'm already starting to get inquiries from people who have new material to show. So I think there is there's a lot of stuff out there that we haven't seen yet.
But it's conversions, or they're saying they're shooting natively now?
No. There's it's a mix of both. A lot of the independent stuff is still being shot natively. In fact, there's a European 3D conference and film festival that's going to be held virtually in June, and I'm on the selection committee. So I actually, over the next 2 days, I have to watch a whole folder's worth of new European natively shot 3D films for the selection committee. And that's all stuff that when I can put the festival together here, I'd love to be able to show in a theater.
I hope you're able to pull it off.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was going to say, 2 of my images in the competition today were shot with a stereo realist camera on film, and I wanted to tell Abe that, but I forgot.
Oh wow!
I'm going to shoot film.
What did you shoot the Emerald Forest with? That was a beautiful shot.
That's probably a W3, and I actually took that a long time ago at Descanso Gardens at the holidays. And when it was nightlife, I went, oh, I have some pictures I never used from back then. I have a bunch, actually. I used one of them before that scored very poorly in competition, so I was surprised.
I really liked that Emerald Forest shot. What was the light source behind the trees?
I don't know. It's just Descanso Gardens in the wintertime. They light it up. I don't even think I used a tripod. I know I didn't use a tripod. It was handheld. I leaned against trees and things and stabilized it. So yeah, that was one thing I discovered with the W3. There is a night mode, but the longest exposure is like a half second or something like that. The stereo realist has a timer and a bulb setting, but it has a time mode where you click it, shutter opens, click it, and it closes. So it'd be great for long exposures.
Well, you had the X-Files thing going on that shot.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was interesting. So I had a second camera that David Starkman lent me, and I went to shoot a test roll on it. And actually 2 of those images were from that test roll. But halfway through the roll, one of the shutters broke, but I didn't know until I got the negative back. I shot 400 speed negative and just developed it and then scanned it myself and went, oh, my is not working right. And
extremely bad luck, because the camera looked to be in great shape. I never heard of a shutter blade breaking on a realist. They're so robust, but bad luck.
Yeah, I took it apart and discovered what happened. The little right where it pivots, it had snapped, and so it wasn't pivoting anymore. It was stuck. It's kind of stuck close. But then Dr. T said that's a parts camera now, which is too bad because it was really good shape.
Yeah, but you should ask him if he could get that part from him, because he might have it.
No,
he bought a lot of Charlie Piper's old parts.
Yeah, he did.
He did say,
and I know there were shutter blades in there.
All 4 shutter blades are the same. They just flip them over for the other side. So,
should be easy enough to find. I got a few parts cameras.
Shutters just do this. They go like that. I know because I took it apart and figured it out.
So you fixed it?
Well, I know you need a replacement part. But Dave gave me some old photos and help, but it's pretty easy to take apart. I mean, you got to pay attention because there's a lot of little screws, and it's easier to take than changing a battery in an iPhone, I think.
Well, I've opened up many a realist.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to work on compared to like a colorist or anything with a lot of plastic in it. I worked on Feds for quite a bit.
Wow.
What's Feds?
Well,
Fed camera is a Russian stereo camera.
Oh, okay.
They're really fussy because all the parts are stamped. They're not machined. So when they go bad, you just have to go in there and bend them with your hand. Get them nice and straight. And a tap hammer.
So the first ones I years ago when you guys had an auction, I bought a stereo realist for $10 at the auction when we were meeting in person. And I shot my first roll with that. And when Dave saw that, I guess he said, "Oh, maybe you want to try this one." And that
well, because the one he had was like obviously not working right. Things were too tight.
Well, no, well, the one I had, it worked, but it was just not. It was really hard to advance the film. It was like ripping the fingers.
Yeah, but didn't you have overlapping near the end of the roll because it was so tight?
Yeah, I had a bunch of overlaps. Yeah,
that's not right. You know, you shouldn't be doing
that.
that.
I lubed it a little bit with like Panavision oil that I use in a Panaflex with a little needle oiler.
Well, Andrew, you inspired me to. I haven't shot a roll of film 35 in a while, and there was a camera I always kind of admired and never had one. Can you see this?
Yeah, what is it?
This is an Aloka Rapid, and they were never sold in the U.S. If it looks familiar, if there's a camera called the Realist 45.
Yeah. It's just like
and the Realist 45 was actually made by Aloka, and they had 3 models, and the cheapest model was basically the one that became the Realist 45. And the only difference between the Aloka cheapest model, which had f3.5 lenses and no rangefinder, and the Realist 45 is that the Aloka has a PC outlet right here, and the Realist had a hot shoe. But their top of the line model was this one, which has f2.8 lenses and a rangefinder, and here's the PC outlet and a standard shoe. But the thing that makes it more unique is instead of a wine crank, I've got film in it, so I don't want to do it, but this flips out, and in one stroke, it film advances.
Yeah, much easier.
And so I've got it loaded, and I'm shocked at what film costs now. I think to buy a brand new roll of film and have it developed is probably going to cost about $35 total before you put it in mounts.
Oh, you're shooting slides, yeah.
Yeah, for slides. But I'm using frozen film that's been frozen since I think 2005. So we'll see how it goes.
Ooh. That's great. But when you advance it, does it cock the shutter too?
Yeah, when you advance it, it cocks the shutter. It's not fooling around like you were with the Realist. Although this lever on top, you can recock it if you want to do a double exposure. Oh, and that's the other thing. It's nice. Besides the f2.8, it's got bulb in 1 second up to 300th of a second.
Yeah, you need a faster shutter speed on the Realist.
Yeah, and then the focus is on top, and it's a beautiful camera. When we first started going overseas in '83, this was the camera that almost all the people in the British Stereo Club were using, partly because a company called Stereograms imported it, just like Bush imported the Veriscope to the US. Stereograms imported this camera, and this one doesn't have it, even though it's from England. And it would say Stereograms Aloka, and they even said it on the camera. They had a instruction manual that said Stereograms Aloka, and this was probably the most popular camera in Britain with the British Club for a long time.
And that's 5 perforation.
Yeah, same format as the Realist.
Yeah.
And again, the basic camera, I mean, The Realist 45 is basically the same camera without a rangefinder, with an f3.5 lens. I think maybe it only goes up to 200th instead of 300th, and it has a hot shoe instead of the PC. But the Realist 45 is a lot more common here because it was marketed by Stereo Realist. But it has the same single stroke advance. And the other thing that's interesting, it moves the opposite direction. The film goes in the opposite direction in the camera that all the Realist cameras do.
Well, all cameras go to the right, and they cock on with your right hand. That's with your left hand.
Exactly. So the film is being drawn from the right side to the left instead of from the left side to the right.
Very British, being on the wrong side there.
Well, it's a German camera.
Oh,
Yeah, if I recall correctly, in the Queen in 3D book, I think Brian May says that the Aloka was his first 3D camera.
Could be. Like, again, it was really popular with the British club. And the reason the quick advances on the left hand is because they wanted the shutter button to be on your right. So you've got advance with the left, shoot with the right.
Yeah, the Realist, the shutter release is on the left, which is also unusual.
Yeah.
David, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know the focal length of those lenses?
Yeah, they're 35 millimeter focal length. All the Realist format cameras, I'm pretty sure, had a 35 millimeter focal length. The Varoscope, it's called the Varoscope F40, was a 7-perf camera, and it had a 40 millimeter focal length lens.
Uh-huh.
But all the Realist ones are 35. And for those of you that are familiar with the Steinheil wide angle lenses, that converted it from 35 to 25 millimeters.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say here.
Doesn't?
No.
Did they,
well,
did
it
they
is.
make Steinheil conversion lenses for the Iloka?
No. Steinheil made them for the Realist and for the Kodak. And the Kodak, I used a Varoscope for 10 years. And before that, I was using a Wallensack. And just by luck at a camera show, I bought a set of Steinheils that were made for the Kodak, that somebody had taken them off the bracket. Because the Kodak camera, unlike the Realist, the Kodak has Series 5 threading built in for Series 5 filters. So they just screw onto the camera. Well, with Series 5, 2 separate Series 5 Steinheil lenses, with the right adapters, I was using it on a Wallensack at the beginning, and then I got adapters and I was using those same lenses on a Varoscope. So it's way more adaptable than the Realist ones, but they're harder to find.
Anyway, they still sell film. It's good.
Yep,
but
they do.
now,
Yeah, I saw they have a Russian film out now.
Yeah, isn't like, I think like a Kodak and Fujifilm it's something like what, $18 a roll now or something like that, unless you found anybody know a better deal for new slide film?
Well, but if you're just going to scan it, just shoot negative. That's what I was doing.
That's true, but I want slides,
Right.
That's what I used to shoot, and they're
So I'm not sure I'm not sure what the going price is, but I usually go over to Freestyle on Sunset to get slide film. They do a lot of sales to students, so their prices are a little bit lower on some films.
But Kodachrome is gone, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's got to be Actachrome. What speed Actachrome would you go up to? Because the old.
I don't think they make all the old speeds anymore. I think they only make maybe
100.
Yeah, I think it's just 100. Yeah.
I don't know are they still making the slower Velvia 50?
Yes.
Don't know.
Yes, you can buy Fujichrome Provia 100 and Velvia.
I know they have 100, but I don't know if they have 50.
I don't know if they still make the 50. So I think you're pretty much stuck with 100 now. I've also got a quickie.
Yeah, the 400's gone.
Yeah. There's Lenny Lipton just came out with a new book. He spent 10 years working on this. called, and I put a link in the website. I mean, a link on the chat. It's called The Cinema in Flux. It's, I think it's like 800 pages, profusely and beautifully illustrated. And there are 3 chapters on 3D, but he did an incredible job with the photos are just all beautiful. Let me find the 3D chapter. Like here's on his early 3D and then later it's got a chapter on polarization with 3D, and here's land and stuff. And he's really cleaned up patent drawings and other stuff just beautifully. And if you go to that website link, he's done a nice web page to tell you about the book. It's about $55 at Amazon. I think it's like 800 pages. It weighs a ton. I can't believe it. But anyway, just thought I'd put a plug for him. Just came out.
Maybe we should have him at a meeting.
Yeah, I just bought a copy. I haven't received it yet, but I'll talk to Lenny and see if he'd like to come to the next meeting and talk about it.
Yeah, sure he might. But he worked with somebody else. Susan and I had lunch with him today, actually. And
oh, great.
But the website he's got, I've got it there. It's called thecineminflux.com. Even before you buy the book, if you just want to learn a little about what's in it, have a look at that website. So that's a plug for that.
Is Jody still on?
Right.
I meant to.
Yes.
Did you want to do your membership plug? I forgot to get to you. It's kind of late though.
Not really, since it's just
Yeah.
casual conversation. I put something in the chat
Yeah,
much
I saw that.
earlier.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. But I'll have to remember to write you in the next meeting. Sorry.
I'm having to sign out. I'll see you guys later.
See
Thanks
you,
for a
Oliver.
wonderful meeting.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, Oliver.
Anyway, you can buy old 3D cameras on eBay for pretty cheap if anybody needs some.
That's true.
I was just curious, do you get condensation marks from the frozen film?
He'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
used
ton in
frozen
my
film before. I mean, you thaw it out before you use it.
You thaw it out before you open the can. You don't
Yeah.
want condensation on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
I just let it, I took it out of the freezer and just let it sit overnight before I opened it up.
So you don't notice any marks in the final result?
No, what I don't know until I get it back is if there's going to be some color shifting of some kind. But it'll take a while. I guess because we're just not going out a lot, I've only taken about 2 or 3 pictures on it. It's going to take me probably a month or more to shoot a roll of film because I just want to figure out what to go shoot. And I haven't done that.
Plus it's expensive. You got to dole out those shots carefully.
Yeah, exactly. And, even using old film, I think it's still going to cost about $15 to have it developed, unmounted.
Yeah, I'm thinking of starting with, I have some rolls of print film to test the cameras first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
but I still got I still got more film in the freezer. So
yeah, I got a ton in the
Whatever.
freezer,
Yeah.
but I don't know how old it was before I stuck it in the freezer.
Well, this I know when it went in the freezer because it's been frozen since it was new. So hopefully that'll help.
I still have a bunch of film I got at a NSA convention. There was one where it was in Rochester and they gave us all rolls of Ektachrome.
That's what I've got. And
Yeah.
there are a whole bunch of people didn't want them or whatever. So I got, between me and Susan, we got, I think a dozen or more rolls of film, and that's what's in my freezer.
Yeah, that's what I have in my freezer.
Yeah.
There might be an expiration date or whatever, like.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it's
it's
on the
long
box.
past the expiration
Yeah.
date.
Oh, yeah. It's like, these expired like in 2005 or something.
No, but I mean, give a sign of the age.
Yeah. But theoretically, if you freeze it, it stops the aging.
Yeah.
So
reminds me, I've been scanning a lot of 8mm film, and I was reading, or I saw a TV special on the Zeppelin last night, and they said you could look at the film and see when the film was made by the markings on it.
Huh.
The edge code.
Yeah, there's like a triangle and a circle.
Edge markings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to find out what you watch because I'm a big Zeppelin fan.
Oh, it was Nova last night. It was on the Graf Zeppelin. They found a new 8mm film on it that was
Yeah.
shot from a different angle.
Oh,
It was
great.
on the PBS.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You mean on the explosion, you mean?
Yeah. They just found a brand new roll of film, not a brand new, but nobody had thought to look at it until last year.
Wait, was this shot on the Zeppelin or somebody who shot it as it was coming in?
They shot it as it was coming in, but all the newsreel photographers were in one area. They didn't actually see the tail. And this one was all the way across and they saw the tail. So it was the first.
Does this create a new theory on what happened?
Yeah, they went all over that. It was pretty much confirmed everything they believed, that it was started from a spark in the rear end. Then it wouldn't have happened except it rained. So it made everything conductive, and when the ropes hit the ground, it acted as a ground and generated sparks all over. And the sparks were everywhere. They just think the reason it started in the tail was because that's where the gas leak was. So,
Well, so it grounded, and that caused the spark. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You'd think that would have happened more often.
That's what I thought through that whole special. I go, why doesn't it happen to every Zeppelin? The big question is how they went 37 years with only one gas explosion.
Well, apparently it's true also when you put fuel in your car. You have
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well,
You need to be real careful that you don't
Catch
cause a
COVID.
static spark.
Well,
Steve,
They say like when you're pumping gas at your car, don't open the door and go in and come out because you can build up a static charge.
Use your cell phone.
That
Just,
too.
no, actually, just going in and moving across the seat and then coming out of the car.
The friction.
Then when you reach for the handle, you could spark it.
I'll have to leave my Van de Graaff generator at home then.
Well, you would
So,
think the
hey,
gas stations would be blowing up everywhere.
yeah.
hey, Steve, curious, what are you using to scan your 8mm?
Oh, it was Wolverine. I wouldn't recommend it. It was total crap.
The Wolverine or the Wolverine Pro?
Yeah, something like that. Not the Pro. The Pro's not out yet.
Yeah,
I have the Pro. I have the Wolverine Pro. It works pretty well.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that when it comes out. Maybe what I did, I bought something else and it's back to the shop.
Steve, the Pro's been out for a long time. I got one in January.
Oh, it's out of stock. It's just it'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
used it for the Bolex stuff.
No, the Bolex is 16 and the Wolverine Pro does 8 and Super 8.
Yeah. The one I got didn't work for my Super 8. It actually did when I took it off all the loops and everything. I had to put it straight in and straight out. It was a pain.
For those who need to get
what are you using, Judd?
Slide processing done. Does anyone use the Icon Lab in LA? Because they you can do mail order slide processing with them, and they don't cut or mount.
How do you spell that?
Their website, it's iconla.com. And if you go to their online film services, you can fill out an online form and they'll do E6 slide film, 35mm process only for $10.
Oh, wow.
Have you had good luck with them?
Yeah. They're a pro lab. They're on Wilshire. So most of the business that they do is for professional photographers. And they've they do excellent processing.
Oh, Judd, you just show your 8mm, right? You don't?
The show, yes, but I've been scanning them in. Like my folks actually gave me all. They just moved after 50 years in the same house, and they brought out all the 8mm or Super 8, I guess it was from the family stuff. So I scanned all those in, and then all the other stuff that I've gotten while collecting the slides. I also ended up getting the 8mm. But yeah, we've been putting those on almost every night now at the show, and there's some pretty fun ones.
Yeah, what do you scan them with?
It's that Wolverine Pro. It's the
Oh.
720 thing, and it works pretty well. I mean, most of the time. There's occasionally if the film is so old that the sprockets are all chewed up, then it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
You can't blame it for that.
I've been doing all of my dad sent me all of the old home movies going back to stuff that he shot in the 50s all the way up through me being born and went to school and all of that. And so I've been using the Wolverine Pro, the 1080p model, and it works pretty well. I mean, it's a $400 device, so it's not going to be the same as actually going to a lab that's got like a Wetgate film scanner. But to be able to scan these at home and post them on YouTube and share them with family and friends, the Wolverine Pro works pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, you're not going to go put it up on a big screen anywhere, but it's good for YouTube, etc. I did find one and I had this memory from, I guess it was 76 or 77. We're from the Midwest originally, and we were out here in Palm Springs. We rented a house for Christmas break, I think it was. And at some point, and I had this very distinct memory as a kid, and we could never really confirm it until I was going through these reels of film. I had a memory of driving through the mountains over in Palm Springs and pulling over because they were shooting some kind of a commercial. And we pulled over, and back then they were like, sure, come on over and watch what we're doing. And it turned out to be, it was some kind of I think it was a Mustang commercial. And we had, again, as a kid, I remember, I'm like, I think it was Tom Selleck was the main guy in the commercial before he was anything, before he was an actor, a big actor. Could never confirm it. And then finally I get the film, and we actually have a shot of Tom Selleck coming out of his trailer pre-mustache, it's just me and my sister in front of this yellow Mustang that's like a really crappy, ugly Mustang, and Tom Selleck coming out of his trailer in his blue jean shirt and shorts, or blue jeans. It was very funny to see that.
Yeah. When are you going to show that on your show?
I may actually, I may pull that out for Saturday. That might be a fun one. Yeah, Saturday is always the good stuff. It's the Slezak collection, and he's a guy who I got this collection out of Burbank, and he was a guy who was I still can't confirm one way or the other, but I think he was either the on-set still photographer, or he worked in the electric department, like an electric or grip guy, for all the old Disney movie and TV series. And so I have all these behind the scenes footage shots of early, late 50s, early 60s into 70s Disney movies, like big movies. Like I have a couple shots from the lighting rafter area of Mary Poppins, like Dick Van Dyke walking down the street with his sweepers and the whole thing. It's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, I just have to figure out how to get the rights to put them out in a book of some sort.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Disney. So anyways, yeah, while I was scanning, I did remember you guys, I showed the 3D pictures taken of my family in the 30s. And I have movies of them looking at that with a stereoscope. So maybe I'll show those. Wow. So these movies
I'd love to see that.
They were taken in the early 40s of they were my parents' engagement party, and they were looking at old Keystone views, and it was an electrically lit stereoscope, which I still have around here. I'll grab that and show it
Wow.
next meeting. Well, I'm done. Anybody else? Anything?
No, I guess I gotta go. It's getting close. Well, it's getting late.
Jim, what did you want?
Oh, Eric, great job putting the meeting together.
Yeah, I'm so glad Charles was able to join us tonight. I've been a fan of his work for a while, and
Yeah, that was nice.
so glad he was willing to share it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'm out of here.
Nice
to see everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, everyone.
Oh.
Sleep tight.
See you next time.
Sweet dreams.
Great meeting, great meeting. Let's do it again next month.
Will do. Don't forget
Yes,
this Saturday workshop, 10 a.m.